Super Rugby round 13. There were 3 games on the Saturday. I've watched 2 of them. I did not get to see the Lions against the Waratahs in full. I've seen highlights of that one that was on at 1 in the morning here. The other 2 games I watched, all pretty close games. You'll notice all the losing teams got bonus points, and they were all the away teams that suffered the losses. All the home teams that got the wins. So I guess good for the comp. It's a good testament to how things have been going in Super Rugby this year. Things are pretty even. Teams can go on tour and still pick up relatively decent results. Crusaders still, on the Friday game, got well beyond bonus point territory for the Bulls, and the Blues didn't get a losing bonus point. Anyway, the first game, the Highlanders hosting the Jaguares. They said it was only the second time these teams have played. The first time they have played in Dunedin. There seemed to be a pretty decent crowd there for a match which wasn't a New Zealand derby, which is good. But yeah, the Jaguares missed a penalty early. Long distance one from Boffelli. Coltman looked to be injured early as well, but he seemed to recover well enough in the end because he got through the entire game. So, well, at least as long as they planned to keep him on. Moroni got the first try, which was for the Jaguares. He kind of reached out and scored after Cancellieri had a line break and a kick through. They kicked the conversion, made it 7-0. So good start for the visitors. Ioane got a offload through to Lynchus, who got the first try for the Highlanders, and then otherwise Josh Ioane had a pretty good game, but man, his conversion attempt for that first try was atrocious, and he missed it, so it was 7 points to 5. Bonisia kicked a penalty not long later, 27 minutes for the Jaguares, after he'd had a good little no-look pass in the lead-up, and that made it 10 points to 5. And then Faddis got his try after Tompkinson had some good little tackle busts and some great support play. So the Highlanders took the lead, 12 points to 10. This game, as I said, was really entertaining. It was back and forth. The lead was changing, and there were some good skills on display. Bonisia kicked another penalty to put the Jaguares back in front before half-time. And then Tompkinson got his try. All from the Jaguares kind of not taking their kickoff receipt properly. So it was 19-13 then, and then Coltman got a try from a maul, and then there was a penalty and then a maul. So 26-13 was the score at half time. It was looking relatively comfortable for the Highlanders. Second half, Kremer gets a real power running move try going for the Jaguares, so that brings it within touching distance, 26 points to 20. Another penalty for the Highlanders, 29-20, followed by another one, 32-20. Mojano gets a try, Creevy good in the lead-up, 32-27, and that is how it finished. The stats on this one, both teams tackled at 73%, which is partly why I think I enjoyed this game. It wasn't one of those ones where you look and go, this was a defensive masterclass. It was a lot of the stuff that was easy on the eye going on. So I guess, yeah, both the defensive coaches will not be satisfied with those performances, but attacking was pretty good. Run meters for 350 to the Highlanders, 423 to the Jaguares, so they were running the ball a bit more. Highland has slightly more possession, and territory was pretty even. Interestingly, the penalties conceded was 7 to the Highlanders and 11 to the Jaguares. Some of those ones towards the end did seem a wee bit soft, so the Jaguares perhaps feel a bit hard done by. The officiating perhaps caught them out a wee bit. I'd have to watch it again to really analyse just how that was, but they were clearly upset about it. There were some handbags towards the end, and I can kind of see why, but again, I'd need to go back and really watch it to see. But it was, I guess, a bit of a sad way to end the game, which was otherwise pretty entertaining. The Jaguares, good to get a losing bonus point. If you're going to come on tour, you still need to keep your scoreboard ticking over for the log, and they've done that. The Highlanders need to hold at home, and they've done that. So they both kind of got the minimum required, but neither of them will be all that happy with the result at the end of the day, especially the Highlanders having been 13 points up at half-time. To have it finish relatively close, Jaguares would have liked to sneak a win. Jaguares go to Wellington to play the Hurricanes next week. That's going to be tough. I should mention the Jaguares made a lot of changes for this game, so how well they manage the guys over the tour is going to be interesting. Someone mentioned on Twitter about they could have played all their strongest guys in this game and perhaps got a better result. But I guess, yeah, that's them trying to manage the travel, the fatigue, and all that jazz. So I guess we'll see. Highlanders are away to South Africa, so they'll have their own fatigue to manage next week when they go to play the Lions over in Johannesburg. The next one, the Chiefs hosting the Sharks. Another game that was pretty entertaining. It was pretty close. The lead change was not all that dramatic like the Jaguares and Highlanders one. It was more kind of getting ahead and getting back. But anyway, we'll have a look at the way the scoring went down. Marty McKenzie kicked the penalty early on. Made it 3-0. Thomas Dutoy had to go off with an injury, which was pretty sad for the Sharks. You never want to lose one of your props early on. You'd hope they get at least half the game under their belt. But yeah, the Sharks were getting nothing from all their ball early. They just kept making mistakes, knocking it on, getting turned over. It was a bit different from last week anyway. And the Chiefs got the first try through Brad Weber, who ended up with a brace. Marty McKenzie and Wainui had hands in the build-up, so they made it 10-0. Big handbags on the 27th minute, and that's been a wee bit of a theme this season. There does seem to be a bit of handbags going on. Thankfully, they didn't take too much time to look through. There did seem to be a couple of swinging arms, but they didn't bother to look through too much about it, so they just got on with the game. Bosch kicked a penalty on 29 minutes, and then Hyron Andrews, man, he got a try galloping into open space, the big lock, all from Alai Malo, kind of fumbling a high ball, so it was a pretty soft try to concede. That evened the score up. Then 34 minutes, Karpik gets his try, one phase after a line-out move, and it was the Sharks having conceded a pretty dumb penalty before that. So again, the Sharks will be a bit disappointed that it was relatively soft. So, both sides making mistakes and the other side's punishing them. 17 points to 10. Bosch kicks another penalty, 17-13 at half-time. Second half, the Chiefs miss a penalty, and then Harris gets yellow carded for killing the ball while they're under pressure. Immediately after, Ron Botha gets a try, and the TMO had to check it, but it was 1 meter out. He showed a bit of power, and they went over for it. So 7 points there, 20 points to 17. Scoring during the yellow card, always a good thing to do. Plus, Bosch kicked the penalty during the yellow card as well. So the yellow card period was 10 points to 0 for the Sharks, kind of punishing the Chiefs for their indiscretions. Not that long later, though, Anton Leonard-Brown gets his try. The Chiefs went 16 phases, although Marty McKenzie, I think it was Marty, missed the conversion. Still a point behind were the Chiefs, but then immediately after, from the kickoff, Weber gets his try. There was a knock-on, and then Nankivell and Alamalo had hands in it. 29 points to 23. That's how it finished. Yeah, so both sides really make a mistake, the other side punishes you. That was much the story of this game. There was a key moment right towards the end because Kerwin Bosch looked to have made a line break, and Tyler Ardron just grabbed him by the shirt and yanked him down to the ground. I think if he doesn't make that tackle, it could have been a different result. But yeah, it was pretty entertaining stuff. It was tense right up until the end. Either side could have taken it again. The Chiefs got a victory enough. They're past the Blues now in the New Zealand Conference, so they're not necessarily in that wooden spoon position yet, although they are playing the Blues next week, so they'll either be back in the wooden spoon spot or even more further ahead of the Blues. The Sharks, they're first in South Africa based on that losing bonus point, so that was pretty key for them to pick up. And I guess their tour went okay. They picked up a win in Australia, a draw in Christchurch, and then a losing bonus point. I think they would have taken that before the tour started, but realistically, they could have beaten the Crusaders and they could have beaten the Chiefs. So it could have gone even better than it did. Stats, the run meters were actually in favour of the Sharks, 472 to 424. Sharks had slightly more possession and territory. Chiefs, though, tackling at 91%, which is not like them of late, so they really put in a good shift. 138 tackles they made to the Sharks, 103. Sharks tackled at 85%, so still pretty respectable. The commentators were kind of grinding my gears this one. I mean, my pronunciation about players' names is not perfect. Like, I often make mistakes, and you guys correct me in the comments, which I always appreciate. And Super Rugby, being such a multicultural competition, has names of all kinds of different backgrounds. But man, they were butchering some of those Sharks players' names, like Fussy. I'm pretty sure it's spelled Fassi. There's no U in that name, but Willie Losse kept calling him Fusi. Fusi. Yeah, and he got the ball a lot, did Fusi. Lucanio was Lucan maybe confusing him with like Lucan, formerly Tui, now Salakai Loto. And like the guys like who've got the Afrikaner names like Van der Walt were Walt and Wake. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not perfect, so I shouldn't be one to judge. But man, if your job is to speak players' names, lots, you should maybe put some prep work into that. Don't know. Anyway, final game. Like I said, I didn't watch it in full. I should say the Sharks are on the bye for the next game, by the way, so good timing for them after their tour. I didn't watch this one in full. The Lions getting a 1-point victory over the Waratahs. Pretty close. From what I've seen in the highlights, it does seem to be also a pretty open game. The Waratahs took a big lead early. Well, not a big lead, but a 7-point lead. Phipps got a try really early on. Marks had an intercept pretty early on as well, and it's great to see that guy in open space, although he didn't manage to convert into any points. But it was not long later that Dianti got a try for the Lions to even things up. Hooper put in a pretty good dummy. He managed to kind of bamboozle Warren Whiteley and Malcolm Marks to go in for a try, made it 14 points to 7, and then Levis got a try 1 meter out for the Lions, made it 14 all. So it's one of those ones where you score, I score, you score, I score. Keeps it entertaining. The Waratahs got a try. That one's from Simmons, and again, it's another big lock and big space. He went in, ran a pretty good angle, and the Lions defense couldn't cover him. Lions defense has been questionable at times the last few years, and I guess it got exposed a wee bit here. 21 points to 14 to the Tars. Quacker Smith got a try from Forster's run and a little kick through, but they missed the conversion, so it was 21-19 at halftime to the Tars. Second half, Squassan gets a try from a Lions turnover. They were in their own 22, went almost length of the field, so that was good. 26-21. Staniforth gets a try after the ball goes out wide to Rona, makes it 28-26, so the lead's back in the Tars' hands. And then the Lions kick a penalty, 67 minutes to make it 29-28. And that's how it finished. The Waratahs did miss a drop goal with about 10 minutes to go. It wasn't too far away, but it wasn't enough to get them in front. So I guess probably better than expected for the Tars. They've been in a bit of a slump recently, and the fact that they went to Joburg and got a losing bonus point is decent. They could have won the game based on that scoreline. Neither team's been doing that well, to be fair. Like, even with that win, the Lions are fourth in South Africa, but they are 3 points behind first, so that conference is still pretty tight. They did need that win pretty desperately, to the Lions. The Waratahs are still fourth in Australia, with only the Sunwolves behind them, so it's not kind of happy days for them at the minute. But I mean, again, losing bonus point in Joburg. If I'm in my Blues fan mindset, you take that all day long. Run meters 529 to 418. That's in favor of the Lions. Possession and territory heavily in favor of the Lions, 62% for both of those. Remember I mentioned that Lions defense though, tackling at 76%, which is a wee bit bad. The Tars were a bit better at 80%. And interestingly, penalties conceded, 2 to the Lions, 10 to the Waratahs. Now you guys will have to fill me in on if that's fair, because Egon Seconds has got a wee bit of criticism before for being pretty hard on visiting teams, and the fact that there's 5 times more penalties to the Waratahs. I'm not sure if that's legit or if that's Egon being Egon. You guys who watch the game can let me know if that's kind of fair. The Waratahs are back in Australia to play the Reds next week, and what is kind of a do-or-die game for them at this point, and the Highlanders await the Lions in New Zealand, so the Lions will have a pretty... No, in Joburg, so the Lions get to stay home, and the Highlanders have to do their tour. So yeah, the Lions have still got a chance to push themselves back up to the top end of that conference, but it's not going to be easy. You guys let me know your thoughts on these results. How did you think these games go? Did you find them as entertaining as I did? And especially thoughts on that last game, which I didn't see in full. Any comments appreciated. You guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later.